universe, or how we use the universe, the power of the universe to heal our lives, because we are immersed in all of that energy right here and right now. And we are stardust, and we are golden, and we are 500 billion year old carbon as far as I'm concerned. And so I always start with something light. And so the light thing I'm going to start with was, it's a universal joke. It's hard to find jokes about the universe. But I found one. So it's Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, and they go camping. And Dr. Watson and Sherlock Holmes, they build their tent, they have a little wine, and they crawl in the tent, and they go to sleep. And in the middle of the night, Holmes nudges Watson and wakes him up, and he says, Holmes says to Watson, "What do you see, Watson?" Watson looks up, and being that scientist, he says, "Well," he says, "astronomically, I see that there are billions and billions of stars in this universe, and there are millions and millions of universes in these stars. I'm sure billions of stars. And astrologically, I see that Jupiter is in Leo right now. And then horologically, I think it's about 3:15 in the morning. And also, he said, I think that that we are just such a small part of this major universe right now, that we are in this web of all the light." And then he says, "Theologically, I believe that there is something so much greater than we are, and all these billions of stars are like our star bodies." And he pauses, and he just takes all of this wonderful advice he's just given Holmes, and he pauses, and he turns to Holmes, and he says, "Why, Holmes, what do you see?" Holmes pauses and turns to him and says, "You idiot, someone stole our tent." So I was watching one of the Oprah Super Soul Sundays, one that had Paulo Coelho on it, and Paulo Coelho he wrote The Alchemist. Did anybody read The Alchemist besides me? You Tom, you never read The Alchemist? Oh my God. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not going to nail everybody who didn't read The Alchemist. So Paulo Coelho is amazing, and I think he's an amazing shaman too. And he was on Oprah, and the question he asked Oprah at that time was, "Do you remember the time that you awakened and that you became alive?" And she said, "No." She said, I never remember any moments like awakening and becoming alive. And he goes, "Well, it's something you can't learn. It's something you have to feel in your heart of hearts." And he said, it's like the shepherd boy in The Alchemist who learns while he's out in the field that the sheep are actually in tune with the universe, and he never had to do anything to awaken the sheep. They followed the wind, the stars, the vibrations of the planet to wake up. And he said, but that is something that you learn from experience and also from your heart. And that you learn that all of a sudden that you're awake and you are this small, small thing in this universal web of life, and that what you do does make a difference. So I thought that was so amazing. And he said, you look at all the stars and the omens around you. And what he was saying in that moment is you don't make demands all the time on the universe. You can affirm things, but also you have to make room, because everything that you affirm, you must say that it is the highest and best for all involved. How many of you have had to control your lives, or felt like you had to control your lives? I never have. Never, ever. Yes. I think we come out, I always say, we come out of the womb saying, I want my own apartment, I want control now. And your parents are like just a byproduct guiding you along the way. But we go, and how many of us had wanted to control like our bank accounts, a physical diagnosis, anything, a relationship, anything like that. And what you discover is that all of those things in our lives are there for us to deepen, but they're usually not the thing you really want. I have a great example. I've manifested lots of things in my life, and one of them was I wanted to be a producer and writer, and I was already married to Patrick, and we were living in Camarillo, and I was already working in Hollywood, and I wanted to be a producer-writer. And he knew how much that would take in production. And so he said, I really don't want you to do that. I'll lose you. I'll never see you. And I was so mad at him. I remember we were walking around the lake, and I wanted to push him in the lake. And so but this happened so fast. This happened so fast. Within a week, I was a producer and writer. And I was at the Sunset lot, which is at Gower and Sunset, or Hollywood Boulevard and Sunset, I guess. Anyway, and my dad lived in Hollywood, and he was a widower at that time. And I thought, how fabulous. My dad, I was really close to him. I can go to Hollywood, and I can have dinner with my dad every night. This is going to be the shining glory of my life. You know, it's going to be great. I'll work and get to hang out with my dad and then go home. And within a week, my dad dropped dead at Hody's, which was now a parking lot for the Pantages Theater. Does anybody remember Hody's at the corner of Hollywood and Vine? He dropped dead there, and there are more coincidences that are even strange. But my whole world, I was totally broken. I was totally broken, and I remember being on the floor. Here I had gotten what I wanted, and I was doing, I thought, great. And now I had this big job and a hole in my heart. And I was traveling, I was under such stress, there's so much traffic in LA, and I was a field producer, and sometimes I would have to leave in Camarillo and then drive to San Diego for an 8 a.m. shoot, and I was head of the whole crew, so the crew was hanging out waiting for me, and all the people that were on camera were waiting for me, and we all know how I am with time in this congregation. Not my forte. I'm just telling you. So I was under so much stress, and I remember being on the living room floor in the fetal position, and Patrick saying to me, "What is wrong with you?" And I said, I don't know how we're going to live, because that little girl in me, my dad protected me, he took care of me, he did all those things. But that little girl in me could not see that we were both doing really well. And he looked down at me like I was a bug on the carpet. I remember that. I was probably like this on my back, you know, and he looked down at me. I remember his face, and he said, "Pam, we're both working, we're fine." And I said, "No, we're not. My dad's not here." I could not hear it, I could not see it. And that place where that wound was, as Rumi says, the wound is where the light can come in and shine and expand the heart the most. And what that happened is, here I had controlled everything. I got what I wanted. Patrick was supporting me in my efforts, but this was something that just blew me away. Well, I wasn't happy with all the stress. I wasn't happy with a lot of things. And in my depression, I got pregnant. I got pregnant by depression. That's all I can tell you. Because I was 37 years old. It wasn't like I was, like I didn't know where babies came from or something. And what happened, really and truly, was as I was just so depressed, I was just trying to make it day by day by day. And I'm thinking, this is not the dream I had envisioned at all. This was not what I wanted at all. And I was not happy in my controlled dream. And finally, here I was out of control with this baby, and so then I would went through the phase where I'll just put her in a drawer and visit her once in a while. I was so old I had amniocentesis to make sure the baby was fine. So I'll put her in the drawer once in a while and visit her. And then when she came, I just couldn't leave her. I was ready to go back to Hollywood, and I could not. I was so besotted with both my children when they were born. I'm sure it's chemical. There's something in our bodies that ties you and binds you to this beautiful bundle of love, and just, oh my goodness. And from that, not only did I feel more whole than I had ever felt in my entire life with my children, but it forced me to go out and start my own video company, because I didn't want to travel. And I did very, very well in that. But it wasn't, so it all fits together somehow, but sometimes we just have to take rid of the reins and see that every obstacle that comes into our life, if we use it like a little turn tab, like a little way to change our direction and go in the right direction. Sometimes what you think you want, the old Woody Allen line, tell God what you want and God laughs. And it's actually from a Yiddish proverb. It's ask God and God laughs, more or less. I can't remember the whole proverb, but it is like this. And it's like when you tell God your intentions and your directions, he says, shows what you know. There's something greater happening for you right here and right now. But if you had told that woman, not a child, a woman on the carpet, that everything was going to be greater and it was all going to work out, I would not have believed it in that moment. And those are one of those turning moments in your life when you know, now I'm older. I know when Patrick made his transition, that was just as gruesome and hard for me, but it was a different gruesome because I had all of you here. I had a strong spiritual foundation. I was a minister, and I had something to draw upon. I had something to stand my ground on, and I knew that I was forced to expand outward. And you'd be surprised when you're with someone, I'm sure some of you know this for 35 years, you don't know when your right hand ends and where your left hand begins. You're like one person. I see it in Lynn and Buzz, especially because you're the couple that show up, and it's like you're like one unit, and you move through life, and you don't even realize it, how much that other person guides and provides for you in those moments for all those years. So, have you ever mapped your life out? Have you, and Betty Ann and Ralph, I just look at Ralph, look at her, and I go, oh, Betty Ann and Ralph, too, they're like one unit. Anyway, so have you ever mapped your life out? No. Never? Really? Oh, well, I have. So anyway, as you already know. So what the universe, what I know from all of this, and being older now, is the universe always has your back. The universe is there for you, but you have to listen. Just like Paulo Coelho said about the shepherd in the field, he had to listen and watch the sheep that knew that they knew what they were supposed to be doing, and he really had to do practically nothing to make that work, to make those sheep do anything. They were already there. So how do we let go of that control and we move in to something greater and listening to the universe? How do we recognize the signs? The signs are all around you. It's your job to find out what they are and to really know they're all around you. And I'm going to give you 5 steps on how to recognize and let the universe use you for your highest good in just a few minutes. But on September 14th, I was asked to go. I love animals. I was an animal trainer. I went back to school at Edom, exotic animal training and management, and graduated and worked with wild animals too. But I was asked, the staying bees have parrots. The staying bees are a couple here, and they have parrots. And so I went to visit the parrots. And I fell in love with them. They said, we want to take you to the parrot rescue in Summerland. So they took me to the parrot rescue in Summerland, and they said, did you ever have a parrot? And I said, yeah, we had a parrot, Mark. Growing up, I have pictures of Dee Dee and I sitting with Mark, my sister and I sitting with Mark. And then also, Katie got a parrot, Kiwi, and they said, it's a Myers parrot. They'd never heard of a Myers parrot. It's a little parrot, very smart, very talkative. And so I said, well, they're from Africa, and they're rare. We walk in the parrot rescue, and what is there but one parrot named Kiwi, who's a Myers parrot. I couldn't believe it. And they had this one cage that they called it the boys in the hood. And these were all the white cockatoo male birds that were 3-time losers, so to speak. They were brought back 3 times for aggressive behavior, or they were too loud. Now, I fell in love with one of these, that as I came around the corner, and you can ask the staying bees about this, Katie didn't believe me, but then another coincidence, my daughter said, oh yeah, Mom. One of the boys in the hood, as I came around the corner, yelled, hi, Pammy, hi, Pammy, hi, Pammy, hi, Pammy. And Ralph looked at me and said, Ralph Stanby looked at me and said, what do you have, a connection right above? And I said, you know what that is? Patrick always gets in touch with me. He's just telling me he's here. Well, that night, I thought, that's it. Those are some of the signs. That night, I opened my Facebook page, and my sister-in-law, Patrick's little sister, has posted a picture of him with her baby. And it's an older picture of him too. And I go, oh my God, okay, he really wants me to do something. So I go within, and what's the first thing that happens? Okay, Patrick, is there something going to happen to the kids? Something going to happen to me? Is there an earthquake? What? And I got, no. And it was like, I have to calm myself. I have to go into meditation, and I have to see what he wants. And then it hit me. September 14th is my stepson Aaron, who is severely mentally disabled's birthday. But he's doing better. He's in San Luis Obispo. And I said, you want us to visit Aaron? Because at one time we couldn't even visit him. And he's about 50 now, 50-something now. And I got a strong yes. And I called Katie right away and said, we're going to be going to San Luis Obispo and seeing Aaron. And then no more pictures of Patrick. I said, no, you can come back, you can come back. But when he wants to get in touch with me still, he shows up in all of these ways. But a lot of things show up a lot in these ways too. So my plans sometimes, and what I even think on the surface, I have to clear my mind. I have to clear my heart. And I have to go into spiritual surrender. And if you want to know about how to increase that understanding, I really do believe that if things are happening, no matter whether it's physical or you feel like Scrooge McDuck, where you just want to sit in the safe and throw money up all the time and count it and do something useless, there's so much more happening around you. And you have to open up and figure out what it is that this is teaching me. And I think the Course in Miracles says, if you know people who are patient and know that what's happening is happening perfectly, as Betty Ann says, my life is unfolding perfectly no matter what. People who are patient and know that truth are patient enough to wait to have the truth revealed to them as well. And so that is what I have to do many times. I don't understand all the signs, but I sit back. But I do know my spiritual connection is the number one reason I can get back and close. So when you are resistant to letting go of anything, what are you doing? You're paddling upstream. You're struggling constantly. You're beating dead horses. Nothing happens. So when someone hits you across the side of the head, with that whack across the side of the head, say, what is it that you want me to do? How can I show up? What is it you would like me to say? What is it that you'd like me to learn? Who is it that you want to be with? Who you want me to be with? Tell me, and allow yourself to just listen. Because it is so hard for me not to fill in the pieces. Like I filled in the pieces about the kids and the earthquake and you name it. Every disaster went through my mind. Because I'm human. I am human and I have a lot of human foibles. But I know that without my spiritual foundation, I would not be here today. I would not be walking and talking and being here today as I am. So as I continue to awaken the things around me, I learned these steps as I continue to awaken around the things around me. And it is about allowing and going within, and those steps that we connect with with the divine. Be awake, aware, alert. Don't do, when negative thoughts come up about yourself or anybody else, say, this is really hard, because it's so easy to say, yeah, well, they did this and they did that, you know, and I did nothing. I was pristine. I was sterling in my character. But when things come up, we know now, we're wise enough to know that which we think about, that's what we put our attention on, whether it's positive or negative, what shows up, what we put our focus and our intention upon. So when negative things come up, say, thank you, that's not the truth about me, or do whatever you want. The truth about me is that I am this powerful being in the universe, and there is no one like me. I forgot to show a slide. Buzz, will you put this slide on?
Yes.
Thank you. When I say we're unique, you do know that no one has the same fingerprints you have. No one has the same eye pattern when they do iridology that you have. There's no two snowflakes alike. Nothing like that at all. And this was the first time that this experiment happened in the early 1990s. And there were two twins, and when one would, they were premature. They were 2 months premature, and they weighed less than 2 pounds. And what happened was one twin was thriving, and no matter whatever they did with the second twin, it was dying. And they were ready to pull the plug, and the nurse said, the prenatal nurse said, please, let me just try this for the first time. And they tracked it and recorded it. And basically, the minute these two babies were put in the same incubator together, the stronger one put his arm around the weaker one, and the weaker one instantly got off all the tubes, all the valves, everything that was keeping it alive, and it began to thrive. And so what they know is that the heart is what is important. This baby didn't learn to do that. It was instinctive. It was absolutely instinctive. And so to use your instincts is so very important. And now that was the first test that they did. And now when those things happen between whatever babies need to thrive, they put them with the other babies. And they've saved so many babies this way. So as you continue to waken around the things around you, use those things. And when you I find, when I was early in my marriage to Patrick, I would say, when I would get mad, you always do this or you never do that. And he goes, Pam, really? He was so wise. He says, are you telling me that I will always do these things or I will never do these things? And I'd say, yes. And he goes, that's ridiculous. Let's start right again. He would say, he would bring me back and he said, let's start again. Would you please not use that languaging with me? And second of all, I will try my hardest and best not to always do these things or never do these things. And he did it. That's the other part of that. He did it. And that was amazing to me. And I dropped that languaging from my vocabulary with him. Of course, he did have to ask though first before I was aware. So think positively and really go back and think with your words. As Lynn said so beautifully, your words have volition. They take action. And so it's your thoughts, your heart, your feeling nature, your words, and then bring them into fruition, but for the highest and best for everyone around. So the third thing is know that the obstacles, which I've already said, they can be steering you in the right direction. Pay attention to them. Don't discount them. Okay. And if you when we allow ourselves to get into the wonder and the magnificence that's in us, that is what the universe is all about. And you surrender to all those things. So I want you to take the surrender, ask for a sign when you're at a crossroads, and then listen to that sign, listen to your knowing within. Ask for that sign, and when you're at a crossroads, surrender. Sometimes, you know the old Dr. Phil thing, would you rather be right or be happy? I'd rather be happy. And that's the truth. And I think that's the truth about all of us. And then don't keep digging that seed up. Just let it lay. You put, as I did, I was strong and I was passionate. Because usually the things that manifest in your life you're passionate about. If you just think you want something, it doesn't usually happen that way. But if you're passionate about doing something, and that was creative for me, and so I was planting that creative seed, it happened right away. And it didn't happen at that time, because what I really wanted, the most creative thing you can do is, I think, give birth, not guys, I'm sorry. You're giving birth, and then that draws upon you to be even greater than you've ever been before, for you moms out there. And to, I always said, they're little and they're so cute, and by the time they're teens, it's foot in butt, get out. So, because that's their job, So, in closing, in the midst of uncertainty, know the power of the universe is always working on your behalf, no matter what, healing and revealing you in greater ways than you could control all by yourself. Take the hands off the wheel. When you're not getting what you're getting and you still keep doing what you're doing, the old Einstein, that's insanity. Let go, let God, and listen deeply, and listen to the signs, see the signs, and then go with that more than what you desire or what you want. Because what is the best for you wants you too. The universe is calling us. We may think we're calling the universe, but the universe wants us to show up. We are here to give our light. And every time we don't give our light, we are holding back. And that is the gift that the universe wants more than anything else. So I know that with connected and learning, not learning, but beingness in this teaching and finding a solid foundation, that the universe will and is revealing your wholeness and completeness right here and right now. And so it is. God is the power, and that's the way it is. And thank you. And now